Hey guys, this is Ada coming in to talk about healthy relationships and boundaries. I told you in my last video that I think I would come on and talk about boundaries. Okay, I worked as a therapist, guys, in a group home, and the young people I worked with came from situations where they had been abused, maybe physically, sometimes emotionally, sometimes, sexually. But they learned that in those situations that boundaries were a bad thing, meaning people could violate them and not be held accountable. So the first thing we would talk about is setting healthy boundaries. And in order to have a healthy relationship, there have to be respect. And if there's violation of boundaries, there's no respect. So the way I would explain it to these young people is that having boundaries is like a fence, okay? Like my neighbor's house is, excuse me guys, let me shut this door. My neighbor's house is right in front of me, okay? And she has a fence, right? So if I go across that fence, I'm violating her boundary. I've crossed her fence. If she come over here without permission or come over and disrespect me, she's violating boundaries. Okay, since we're neighbors, we kind of know each other. I can't say we're real close, but, I may walk over there, but I'm not going to disrespect her property or throw paper on her property or do anything disrespectful to her. And hopefully she won't do me that way. Okay, but now, setting boundaries is just like having people respecting a physical boundaries or a fence. Okay, a boundary is like a fence that protects you from the violation of others. And when we set boundaries for people, we tell them, what we expect, how close they can come to us, right? So when people disrespect you, that's like crossing your fence and throwing paper in your yard. That's how I would explain it to young people. So with physical abuse, that's like dehumanizing you, as if you're not a person. With sexual abuse, that's a boundary violation, because many of these people were not old enough to give consent for sex. So they weren't old enough to consent, so their boundaries were violated. Okay, emotional boundaries were violated. Maybe a parent manipulated them or did something to cause them some mental and emotional stress. Maybe it was a negative word that was spoken to them. Maybe it was a behavior that impacted them directly, which violated their boundaries. So when these young people come to us, they have no clue what a boundary is because all their boundaries have been violated. So we will talk about boundaries and how to have a healthy relationship. So I said all that to say this, guys. In order for us to be whole and be healthy, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, we have to have boundaries. We have to tell people what our expectations are in relationships. We can't just get in a relationship and think the other person can read our mind and know what we expect. Because if we do, we're going to either end up with a codependent relationship or something very, very toxic. If we don't know what we want and what we expect in a relationship. So the purpose of this is to talk about boundaries, relationships, how to have healthy relationships, and how to determine if something is toxic or violated. And it doesn't always start out that way, okay? So with that being said, guys, holistic health for me is being good in every area, feeling good in every area, feeling good emotionally, physically, spiritually, having people in my life that build me up and not tear me down. Because what I hate is a lot of backbiting, because I'm a very direct person. I can tell people how I feel directly. I know everyone is not like me, but what I don't like is going behind someone else's back and saying stuff that you can't say to their face. Now, it's a different thing about venting. When you have a problem, a lot of us will vent to a best friend or what have you, but that really don't need to go on too long, because if you you know, if it goes on too long, apparently there's a problem that's not being taken care of, right? So, yeah, I'm not perfect. Everybody have vent. But what I'm saying is just backbite and not letting the person know that there's a problem. Because if they don't know it's a problem, they can't correct it. And if you have told them that it's a problem, they're not trying to correct it, well, there's a lack of respect somewhere, right? There's a lack of respect. So, with that being said, guys, we have to tell people what we want and what we need in order to have a healthy relationship. And that's our portion. That's what we do. And if we don't articulate what we want and what we desire in a relationship, there's no way for them to know. And I hear a lot of people say, you draw what you are. Well, you know, I don't know if I necessarily believe that, because I know that there's no black and white in relationships. There's no, I mean, we can't think that rigidly about relationship, because we are all human and we're intricately made, so it can't be that simple, you know. But I do feel that people outgrow one another. I also feel like people may present one thing and be another, because we have people living double lives all the time, guys. You know, you look on the news at some of these serial killers. These people lived a double life. They spouses had no clue, because they were good at what they did. People can be master manipulators, guys. And you know, on a spiritual level, I know it's a lot more to that than just their humanity. I understand that, and we'll have to talk about the spiritual part of that in another video. But anyway, narcissistic type people can be very manipulative, and that's why people get in relationships with them, because they're very good at getting what they want. They're very good at manipulation. So no, you may not be narcissistic, but you can draw a narcissist because you're an empath. So that's the reason I don't believe that theory. But anyway, guys, that's why boundaries are necessary. That's why defining what you want in a relationship is necessary. Because if you get ready to build a house, you have to build a foundation first. Because if the foundation is not right, the house is not gonna stand. So that's the same way it is with the relationships. You have to be forthcoming with what you want, what you expect. And is that the person that you are pursuing you, do they meet those expectations? You know, do we verbalize, or do we just assume that because they're nice looking, or they dress nice, they have the right image, do we naturally assume that we're going to be compatible? But you know, we have to define what we want in a relationship, because if we don't, we're going to either get with somebody that don't share our values and make our own self miserable, or we're going to just, you know, not count the cost. We don't count the cost of what it's going to cost us when we get in something that wasn't well thought out or well planned. And even when you think things through, it can go wrong. But there's I would say a 75% chance of, when you think things through, define what you want, think about what you want before you get in a relationship, that you will have a 75% chance of longevity if that's your goal. Everybody's goals are not the same. But with that being said, guys, just think about boundaries. Think about what you really want in a relationship, if that is what you want. Now, if you just want to date, that's a whole different ball game. But if we're talking about marriage or long-term longevity or what have you, that's very different from a situation where you're just, you know, dating different people, you know, kind of searching out, because maybe you don't know what you want yet, and that's okay. But when looking for longevity, we need to know what we expect, because there's too much going on, guys, in this world. There are too many relationships ending up in where people are being murdered because no one really thought these things through, you know. And I'm not saying that happens all the time, because I mean, you can be hurt in a domestic situation and you did think it through. But most of the times, these are the type of relationship where people just get together. They don't really even know that person's history until it's too late. And so that's what I'm saying. So having healthy boundaries can kind of protect you from all of that. And then you won't be a walking target for some psychopath, a sociopath. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching this video. If it's been helpful, please give it a thumbs up.